Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is How Play with Super Dan. Today we are going over Battleborn's Deande. So How Play Deande. Let's get started, shall we? Now, Deande is, as many of you may know, a generate attacker. Particularly, she's actually an assassin or a disruptor. I like to play her more as a disruptor than as an assassin because she is quite frail and fragile. Her first ability is her Hollow Twin. It causes her to actually, by default, leap backwards and summon up a clone in her place. The clone does a quarter of her damage and has 20% of her maximum health. Her second ability is called Burst Dash. It causes her by default, again, to dash forward a short distance forward. It deals a moderate amount of damage. The really nice thing about it is that it reduces the attack damage of the target hit, or any target's hit, because it is a cone attack, by 30%. Now, that's actually quite considerable. Now, Deande's third ability, her ultimate, is called Blink Storm. When you activate it, she'll begin to charge it up. She'll actually aim a holographic cone in front of herself, which once she hits it, or once it ends, it will hit up to 10 times. Now, that can be distributed amongst 10 targets or one target. So hit one target, you'll hit them 10 times. Hit 10 targets, you'll hit them once. Now, the benefit to it is, if you hit multiple targets, it stuns up to the 5 closest enemies to Deande when she activates the ability. Deande's primary attack is a melee combo swing that can be modified at a later date, actually at a later level. When you do the swings, it's quite fluid, it works real well. A recent update caused it to work really well, really fluid with her secondary attack, which she throws her Tesseramore fans. Now, when you throw these fans, they actually do have an arc towards the end of it, which once you play her, you'll kind of get used to it. You kind of have to play her quite a bit to get used to it, but that arc can actually be useful. I've had it be useful quite a few times in securing kills in both story and versus mode. Now, Deande's passive is called the Element of Surprise. After she becomes uncloaked, or leaves her invisibility or stealth state, for the next 3 seconds, all of her skills and attacks deal 25% more damage. Now, there is something with it you want to pay attention to or be aware of. You cannot get the bonus damage on her ultimate. The charge up time is just too long. You just don't have enough time to get the 3 seconds off to get the full 25% off on the ultimate. It does, however, work on Burst Dash and Hollow Twin if the Hollow Twin does damage with its auto attacks or explodes within those 3 seconds. Now at level 1, I go with Wonder Twins. It's actually a very nice ability to have. It causes a portion of the damage dealt by her twin to deal 25% more damage. Now this is actually her twin's auto attacks as well as the twin's explosions. When the twin explodes, she will also get healed for 25% of that explosion damage as well, which we will actually get into later. The explosion is actually quite nice. The level 2 helix we go after is all safeties off. This is her left helix. It increases the Hollow Twin decoy damage to 50%. I know in the abilities it states plus 50% damage, which will bring it up to 75% of her base damage, but it is not. It brings it up to 50%. For level 3, we go with Leech Steel. This causes both of the primary and secondary attacks Deande has with her Tesseramore fans to heal 10% of all damage she does. It's actually very nice to have for skirmishes, as well as when you're retreating from a fight and you decide to get back into the fray. At level 4, we go with Drain Dash, the right helix. Half of the damage dealt by Deande's Burst Dash heals her. Now, I'm not going with a shield depleting, damaging Deande build. It is fun, but I'm not going with that. That's not what I usually run with. So this is actually nice for mid-skirmish and retreating. Now, for the level 5 helix, I prefer Silent Strike. It functions similarly to Boots of the Brute, but for 3 seconds after uncloaking, this is also when you have that 25% damage bonus from her passive, you will actually slow enemies on hit. It's actually very helpful for chasing people down. Now, level 6, I go with Ire's Echo. This is her mutation. When her Hollow Twin explodes, it causes all enemies to take 15% more damage from the explosion, but also gets slowed for 3 seconds. Again, this helps when you are running and retreating. Somebody may accidentally kill the Hollow Twin decoy, which explodes and slows down all of your pursuers. At level 7, I go with Fan of War. While it is 5% less bonus damage than the culling, I just find that you do more damage without the actual weakening on opponents than when you do have it applied. Level 8, I like Deadly Reach. It causes Burst Dash to have 40% further distance. You just don't use Burst Dash on cooldown. If you were to use it on cooldown, I would possibly say Energized, but for now, I'd just go with Deadly Reach. Now for level 9, we're going with Improved Holographics. This is to give Hollow Twin a 25% reduced cooldown. Now that's because while we may not always use it on cooldown, we do use it to get out of some sticky situations that using it may get us into. For example, when we pop a Hollow Twin decoy to get into a fight, or when we use it to backdoor buildables, we may need to use it sooner to get out as well. For level 10, I would go with Doppelgang Up. It summons up a decoy when your Blink Storm is finished. The alternative just really isn't that great, to be honest with you. It's a good idea, but it doesn't give you enough cooldown. Now, as far as gear goes, I prefer an item that adds some health, such as this chest piece right here. It gives maximum health and then increased maximum health after I've been alive for 180 seconds after equipping it. So if you activate it after being alive for 5 minutes, you will have to wait another 3 minutes to activate it. But it does give you a burst of survivability, and it is quite nice to have. For the second item, something like this item right here, which gives attack speed and attack damage. I prefer primarily attack damage over the attack speed, but either or would really work. If you can get something that does both, that would be even better. You don't really need the movement speed as Deande. You've got enough slows, you've got enough escaping power, but something with attack damage and attack speed in one item combined is very nice to have. Now, an alternative to something like this right here is actually Vow of Vengeance, the legendary gauntlet. It's very nice to have. The only issue with it is that it has the 1,800 shard cost. While that's not hard to get with Deande, I don't think that it's necessarily required to play as Deande to have that item. I personally have it, but I don't use it simply because of the shard cost. Now for the third item, I prefer yet another attack speed item, because you do have the element of surprise passive, which gives you 25% more damage, and you do have slows that you can apply. I really find attack speed to be what's necessary. Now this particular item does have some movement speed on it. I would rather swap that out for attack damage. I just simply don't have an item that can do that just yet, but something with attack speed and attack damage, or a good alternative would be something with attack speed and perhaps health after you've been alive for 180 seconds, yet another Eldred item. Those would be very good choices.
3,
Now,
2,
when you actually
1.
start a game, you want to look at the minimap and see the dotted line. On Overgrowth, you want to go out the opposite door as the dotted line. This works for everybody, not just Deande. The reason being, you simply have access to the most shards. You can get all these shards right here that I've collected so far, and the ones that I will continue to collect, as well as you can possibly make it to the other team's shards and get out of there. Not everybody can do that and get these shards right here that we're at right now, but Deande can because she has her Hollow Twin decoy paired with her stealth, so she does have some safety. It does also help when the other team is a bit slower and doesn't quite make it there. Now, something you want to do with Deande at all times is pressure, pressure, pressure. If the other team wants to be somewhere positioned, prevent them from doing it. As you can see, we're attacking Melka. We get her attention. Galilea sneaks up behind her and gets her from behind. She unfortunately does not land a stun, so we can finish her off. Melka does make it away, but it was a good try. Now, right here is an example of where you want to avoid being greedy. You can see we got caught a bit in there. We were a little greedy, but Melka, however, decides to make the mistake. We get out, and we notice that while we're slowed, Isaac appears around the corner, so pop our decoy up. Now, when we're running away, the decoy chases down Isaac. However, if you look at the top left of the screen, we've got Melka. Now, right here is a good example of priorities. While yes, we could continue to pressure the enemy team and possibly get a kill, you do always want to back off to defend your sentry. Getting kills, having a high kill streak doesn't matter if you lose the game.
Allies have engaged the Thrall mercenary camp.
Now, the brute that we just destroyed, or not the brute, but the marauder that we just destroyed is not as bad as the double brutes, but the double brutes together, untouched, will take out a sentry by themselves. Now right here, Melka's shooting at our team from the safety of where the double shard spawn. Just poke her, harass her, get her out of there, and then hollow twin to safety.
Reached a sentry.
As you can see right here, we have some brutes and some thralls on the sentry, so we're going to do what Deande does best. We're going to backdoor some turrets. Now, the thumper turret is something that really applies a lot of pressure on your team as well as your minions, so take it out. Now this right here is another example of preventing the other team from having the positioning that they want. We really want to keep Isaac out of here. While we may not kill him, he can't have free reign of shooting at our team anymore. Now right here is an opportunity to show off what Deande's ultimate can do on one target. You aim with a big cone on one target right here, and it does 10 strikes of significant damage in the one area. Naturally, getting an ultimate kill deserves a taunt. Now with a lot of things that we've gone over so far, particularly the buildables and the priority targets, let's look at this clip right here. Going back for the thumper turret, we're going to take out the thumper turret first so it doesn't shoot you when you are destroying the supply station. So we destroy Thumper turret, Montana comes to join in and defend his buildables, but circle around it, he shoots it instead of us. Get up behind him, prevent him from really getting attention. We notice Miko's heal beam right there, healing him. So, what we're going to do is we're going to get out of there, because we can't fight the two of them together. Drop the clone, that distracts them, we stealth away. Now pay attention to the mini-map. You can see the rings showing up where the Thrall mercenary is being summoned. And there we find Melka, who gets met with her doom. Now, immediately after that, Miko shows up. We really don't want to sit there and fight Miko because we know Montana's nearby. So we spin back around and put the thumper turret back up. So what are we going to do? In good old Deande fashion, we are going to take it out. The two of them show up. We decoy away. Continuing in good Deande fashion, we want to destroy their buildables. As they keep putting them up, it's because they want them there. We want them to not have what they want. So they want something, don't let them have it. So destroy the Stinger turret, go back up for the Thumper turret. Again, we're going to destroy the Thumper turrets first. First of all, they're the bigger threat. Second of all, they're the ones that does the damage to you. Now, right here we're going to see something you don't want to do. You want to always be careful of where you're at, particularly what the sentry is doing. If you glance right there at the sentry, he's not attacking anybody, which means he's got free reign to turn and shoot at anybody. So when we go down for Miko, we get tower blasted and taken out. I know you're probably getting tired of me pointing it out. Disrupt the enemy's positioning. Your team will thank you, I promise. Even if they don't say it, they will be thinking it. And by the way, Deande has really awesome taunts. So anytime you're going to go for the Thumper turret, you want to first of all line of sight it, but you want to use your stealth to get up to it. Yes, we could shoot it from here. Would it do much good? No, it would actually probably draw attention to ourselves. So we're going to run over for the Thumper turret. You get there, take it out. Now notice Montana is coming. Always be wary of your minimap and your opponents. Now Montana with his ultimate active, we don't really stand a chance against him. So we're going to sit around here around the corner, use our tiny thin little body and run around circles around so he can't shoot us while we're waiting for a hollow twin decoy. Try to get some more hits in on that sentry with the decoy, but it decides to go after him instead. It will actually always prioritize players. Hide around the corner here. This is actually a good spot with Deande. If you hide around this corner right here when running from people while you're stealth, if they see you around here, it won't work, but they'll actually not notice you there. So we can actually get up behind Oscar Mike, get some damage in on him, get him off the minions and off of our teammates. Now when he runs, the intention was to turn on the supply station, but Montana decided to knock him back. But again, line of sight behind the supply station. What you'll do is you'll cause your opponents to shoot them while you are on the opposite side damaging them yourselves. And then we finish off our stealth. Luckily, Isaac and Miko both didn't notice us running past right there. And as stated, always do something when you go to run away. So we ran away and we got a big shard cluster. Keep all of these things in mind and you too can achieve victory with Deande. Thank you for watching, everybody. Please subscribe. If you've got any comments or questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below.